Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com for more details. Today, we are discussing a 25-piece limited edition that may be the new face of the Armin Strom mirrored force resonance line. This watch represents a reimagining of the resonance that first launched back in 2015. We'll talk about the size first. The case in stainless steel measures 43 millimeters in diameter versus the original's 43.4. It is 12 millimeters thick versus the original's 13, and from lug to lug, it measures 49.6 versus the original's 50.95. Small changes, but they add up, along with the new case design, to a much more lean and athletic look for the watch. Now, the spacing between the lugs is 22 millimeters, so the watch has a nice broad modern stance on the wrist. On my wrist, you can see the watch wears well. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference. The watch remains nicely sloped on its case flank and fairly flat to fit underneath the cuff. It's full-sized, but it's not oversized and in very good taste. Taking a look at the strap, you can see it's a medium blue, semi-gloss finish, large rectangular scale alligator leather. We have a contrasting stitch, a folded edge, and then you can see on the underside calfskin, black, Armin Strom factory strap, brand new, a double deployant clasp. We'll take a quick look at this mechanism. You can see it is a double deployant. It features ceramic pin snaps internally so that the metal can't wear down the snap over time. It retains its tight tolerance. Now look inside. We have a media blasted chassis. We also have externally a combination of satin finish and polish, so it is a triple finish double deployant clasp, and it has a twin trigger release so it can't pop open accidentally. Now, rolling over the case, you can see we have sharp angular lugs, but they're fairly spare. Again, that word lean comes to mind. Polished on their top, there's a little transitional bevel on their side, and then we have satin on the case flank and the lug flanks. This is a little bit unusual because normally when we see satin on a case flank, it is longitudinal. This is vertical, giving a distinct vertical emphasis, and you can see that the bezel features a polished contrast to visually slim the watch. We also have a dramatically cambered sapphire. Always cambered and box section sapphires are more expensive to use, so I'm happy to see that right there, an upscale look. We have here a reset trigger for the seconds hands. You'll see that in action in a moment. Armin Strom logo on the recessed head of the crown. You can also see we have a combination of satin and polish on the knurling. We also have a little platform for customization at the base of the dial. This little outcropping was created during the time of Armin Strom, the brand's founder, and of course it's a platform for customization such as initials or a special date, and Armin Strom still honors requests for engraving and customization on its watches. Now, the movement is one and the same as the dial, so aside from a small platform for time, you're basically looking at the caliber ARF2121 for the year it debuted. This model, a 25-piece limited edition, is inspired by the piece-unique Resonance Zeitgeist model, so it uses the same movement and the same basic case architecture. Taking a look at the dial, let's start with the easy stuff. You can see there's a polished platform that runs around the edge of the dial. It has a wonderful layered effect. As you can see, the dial is mounted on a platform anchored by black polished screws. The hour track, which uses a custom typeface, nicely designed, has a concentric pattern, and then the center dial is more of a matte media blast. We have a polished cannon pinion, then polished skeletonized hands. We have two independent sub-registers for the seconds displays, and as you can see, everything that flanks the displays of time, beautifully finished. We have black polished screws. We have satin graining in a lovely circular pattern. We have media blasting on the base plate, and then we have mirror finish on the half bridges for the balances. We'll do a quick loom shot. Although it's not a loomed watch, it does feature loomed seconds hands. Important to note. Okay, let's get down to business, technology. The mirrored force resonance debuted in 2015, adding a new innovation to the resonance watch genre, and that is the resonance clutch spring that you see right here. It links the two stud holders. They are free-sprung balances, and it links the stud holders so that the wheels will synchronize and beat in opposition, and you can see that the pulsating lifelike action of the spring adds a little bit more animus to this dial than a conventional resonance watch. Now, what's new here is that there is a flyback mechanism, so you can, with a little bit of effort, synchronize the 2 seconds hands, and then start them back up so that they will always be in sync. Now, CSEM, which is a scientific agency in Switzerland, has confirmed that the resonance coupling system on this watch does in fact work, and that the seconds hands should remain within about 5 seconds of each other per day. Now, if you look carefully, you can see they sit on top of platforms that include a lovely engine turning, and while the watch is grayscale, several different grays are used on this dial to create a gradient effect as the eye travels from one part to the other. Now, turning it all over, you can see that there's quite a lot going on the reverse side. Opening up the case back to better display the mechanism, we can see more of the ARF21. We have text on the base plate that tells us all about the movement, and then we have 2 open barrels, and whereas the original mirrored force resonance had a 48-hour power reserve, this one, still manual wind, is now up to 80 hours of power reserve. It is described as a full adjusted movement, which means either the chronometer standard of 5 positions or the absolute standard of 6. Both are super premium. Now, you can see my favorite feature is this lovely wolf's tooth click system on the crown wheel that prevents the mechanism from running backwards. There's a lovely click spring and pulse system, and it's a piece of art in its own right. Now, here we have media blasting on the bridges flanking the barrels. We have satination atop the ratchet wheels that sit atop the barrels. Inside, you can see that the exterior of the barrel features engine turning. We have those media blasted bridges, yes, but they also feature mirrored anglage on their edge, so no detail is overlooked. There's media blasting on the base plate. You can see there's satination on the wheels, which is a handsome effect. And there are even some interior angles where bevels meet at a sharp inward cleft, which is a nice sign of a watch that's been thoughtfully and opulently finished. Now, we have a 3 ATM water resistance. So this is a sporty watch, but it's not necessarily an aquatic watch. It has a lot going for it. The movement is 36.6 millimeters in diameter, so it perfectly fills the case. Reach out to tmosso at thewatchbox.com for additional details of this watch.